Hi guys, and welcome to the Friday Live thing with me, Mark Thompson, Tim Goodwin at the bottom, and Alex Makarski at the top. Hi Alex, hi Tim.
Hey guys.
Right, so for the third week in a row, we have got a guest, and every single one of the guests has actually come from SMO. Can you believe that?
Incredible.
It is, isn't it?
How does that happen?
Sorry?
How does that happen?
I don't know. We haven't even had Peter on yet.
That's very true.
So we definitely have to get Peter on. So today we want to talk about mainly getting started with advertising. I think that's a good place to start and see where it goes. But before that, a couple of things I've noticed this week. Mini podcasts. I've noticed a couple of people do little 10-minute podcasts, basically tips and ideas that they've recorded on their iPhones, edited afterwards, and then just published, which is something that I'll start to look at. Also, little like 4 or 5 minute videos on a regular / daily basis. And a lot of people doing that rather than an email. So what they do, they send out an email with a link to a video. So that might be something worth testing at some point. So what have you been up to, Tim?
I've done nothing but Facebook ads, like on my Facebook campaigns. The last, it feels like weeks and weeks and months and months. But what I've been doing is actually just gradually scaling stuff. And I was talking to somebody last week. I was at a meetup in London for Amazon stuff. And I was talking to a guy who I know who does a lot of Facebook stuff, Facebook ads. And I explained what I was doing. And he was like, well, your budget's too small. And, you can't get campaign budget optimizer to work properly at those levels and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, well, I'm doing it. This is working, sort of thing. But one of the things that I'm been trying to do is trying to be a little bit more aggressive with growing, with scaling. I kind of, I recorded some videos specifically for SMO a couple of weeks ago, actually, and then I broke everything. I broke the campaigns, everything stopped working, as you do, and I kind of had to backtrack a little bit and figured out where I was going wrong.
You've been doing this for years. You should know better.
Yeah, well,
but that's the reality, right? Every day is a new day. That's the thing.
That and exactly that with Facebook ads, certainly, from what I can tell, certainly with Campaign Budget Optimizer. For those of you who don't know what Campaign Budget Optimizer is, it's basically Facebook's way of you basically giving them a bunch of money into a big black box, and they figure out where to show and who to show your ads to automatically, kind of in a very broad way. But what I figured out with Campaign Budget Optimizer, it's almost like at midnight every night, they kind of reset everything and they start again. They go, okay, well, pounds for today, where are we going to feed this £100? And obviously looking at some historical stuff as well and what you've done and where they've got conversions from before and all that kind of stuff. But it does seem to reset itself every day, which is a bit weird. So I've been gradually scaling that and trying to figure out how this thing actually works, and whether it's actually something for SMO members to actually utilize, and kind of what level you need to be at to actually get the best out of it. And certainly, like, the bigger budgets definitely do work better. So £50 a day plus easily you've got to start at, and then work up from there, kind of thing. So it might not be for some of the smaller players, as it were, but I will do some videos to replace the videos I recorded 3 weeks ago, now that I've kind of figured a few things out along the way. So that's kind of where I've been at, and I've just been basically buried in that. Obviously one of the things that I've found with running these campaigns as well is that the more advertising that you do direct to your own channel, whether it's Shopify or WooCommerce or whatever, what I've found is that there's a halo effect that you always get of people finding you elsewhere. So whether you've got stuff on eBay or Amazon or Etsy or whatever it might be, people will go and seek you out on those channels. So we've been making much more sales on Amazon and increasing our Amazon rankings off the back of advertising to our own stuff. Yeah. So, but the thing is, the attribution for that is horrific. You can't figure out actually, whether it is that or not. But
it's not horrific. It's non-existent.
Yeah, yeah. Attribution. It is a particularly dirty word, and I've got a few clever little things which can give me a rough idea whether I'm actually making sales on Amazon that can really be related to Facebook ad campaigns. But it's dirty. It's you can't really rely on the data. So, but that's all I've been doing. And it sounds like a really boring life, but that's all I've been doing the last 2-3 weeks. So there you go.
That's why I haven't bothered shaving.
Yeah, I know. Well,
it's your turn for the beard for the next 3 months.
So I came online about 20 minutes ago, and I'm like, who is this? 29-year-old skinny dude?
Kilos now.
No longer a beast man.
I know. I went out the weekend, and on Thursday I bought some XL shirts rather than double XL. I had to go back Saturday and buy 2 large ones. Yes, ripped. Well, not really.
Good on you, Mark. Fun is intended.
Right, let's get on to the serious stuff.
Yeah,
Alex. We want to talk about today. We've got Alex on here, and Alex is an ads expert. But we want to take it. If somebody's starting out now, right, they've never done Facebook ads, they've never done Google ads. So we're actually going to focus on Google ads today for a change.
Yes, please, because that's the stuff I know.
Yeah, exactly. So if somebody's starting out, okay, let me rewind a bit. So everyone goes to Facebook ads, okay? It's quite often that Google ads and AdWords can actually be just as good, or at least a great place to launch your campaign and then follow it up on Facebook. So what we're going to talk about is somebody who hasn't done any advertising or hasn't done much advertising, starting off and trying to get profitable accounts or profitable campaigns on Google. Does that sound like a good idea?
Sure. Yeah, we can explore that topic. Yeah.
Right.
Most of my clients, in fact, are they are businesses that have found some success on Facebook, and now they were looking for scale, and Google is the next logical place for them to go.
Okay, cool. Right. So let's say somebody comes along to you, right? We're sat in a bar, and you say, "Oh yeah, I do AdWords." And someone goes, "Oh great, I think I've been doing AdWords. What should I do first?"
Well, they're
saying, "Buy me a beer."
Yeah. Well, I can tell you what I did and how I got into AdWords myself. Like I've known about AdWords ever since AdWords has been around, but I dove in a big way about 7.5 years ago. My brother-in-law and I were having beers, and he came up with this crazy idea.
Always start with beers.
Yeah, he's like, what? Like, so he went like this. So he's quite a bit younger than me. And he goes, well, when I was in college, my buddy and I would make like a few $100s in the afternoon by just posting on Kijiji, which is the Canadian version of Craigslist, and people would call us to go, to hang a TV on the wall, and we would just go in and put a couple of screws in the wall and make a few $100s in the afternoon. Do you think this can be a business? I'm like, for shits and giggles, I don't know, but I have this $100 certificate from Google. I'll throw it into Google. We'll find out if we can break even the first week. It's a business. So I put together a quick landing page. I launched a search ad, and that was it. I mean, we broke even, and we make a little bit of cash the first week, and we stayed profitable. I don't think there has been a month in the entire 7-year period when we lost money. Actually, no, there was a month when his buddy, his childhood friend, like our first hire, like he learned everything we were doing, and he broke off and started his own business and took away a bunch of clients. But we recovered from that very quickly. But yeah, we turned a profit every year for 7 years, and we sold that website last year. So that's how I learned about Google Ads. I was putting my own credit card into this thing, and I was watching my own colleagues come in, and was turning those into phone calls, and someone else was doing the service. I didn't have to worry about that part. So basically, it was like an agency gig, but in essence, it was a revenue split.
Yeah,
that's all. Yeah. So cool. That's probably the easiest way to start.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got that. So set up a landing page. And I would assume the first thing you need to do is actually know what you're trying to get from the advertising.
For sure, yeah.
So if you want leads, you got to go for leads. If you want sales, you got to go for sales. Don't try and mix it up because it won't work. Right. So we've come along. We've decided that we want to generate leads, okay, for a business. We go into Google. We get a $100, $200 voucher. Set up a G Suite account. Go to Google. Search for Google coupons. You will find $80, $100, $75 coupons everywhere. Okay, so start a new ad account if you've got an older ad account. In fact, on one of my ad accounts, I didn't advertise for a year, and exactly a year to the day that I last advertised, they gave me €200 coupon.
Nice. I haven't seen those. That's
they're
huge.
pretty good.
Yeah.
So you got a coupon, you got some free advertising. Then, what's the next thing you do?
Well, you certainly need to learn about Google Ads a little bit, and Google Ads is big, and I would say it's much bigger than Facebook, and it's a bunch of different networks. It's not just one. So don't think about Google Ads as one network. You have Google Search, which is bottom of the funnel, like very ripe, conversion-ready traffic, and because it's so conversion-ready, you probably have quite a bit of competition there for that keyword, and the clicks are not going to be cheap, most likely. Like it's very hard to find super cheap clicks. Yeah. For some esoteric business, you can have those clicks cost you like $3, $4, $5. And for local niches, contractor-based niches, like it's not unusual to spend, $10, $15, $20. And in some areas, like I've seen these clicks go all the way to $100 and more per click. So you have to understand which niche you're getting into and what those clicks are going to cost you. So it's not like there are businesses that are okay for someone starting out, and there are different businesses that are, better left alone until you have a little bit more experience and you know how to convert those clicks into sales. Yeah,
I mean, one thing I like to do, because I do a lot of affiliate marketing.
Yeah.
So what I'll do is I will find, as long as you're allowed to bid on the term, right? So let's say, for example, Thrivecart.
Yeah.
But I will bid on terms like Thrivecart review.
Longer tail, yeah.
Yeah, and I'll try and go as long tail as possible, and also just do exact match. So I might have just one keyword in that group. It will be Thrivecart review, and then I'll try another one, Thrivecart integrations, or what does Thrivecart integrate with? So I always try and go start with. You can probably tell I'm being stupid doing this, but I look for the 20, 30, 40 cent clicks and below, because there's not many people bidding on those keywords. You've got a much better chance. So if I went against Thrivecart, I'd be up against everybody who's targeting Thrivecart. If I go long tail and lose a bit of that traffic at the front, I've got more advertising spend to build up the income and then start to go after it.
Very true. So this is maybe a little tangent I want to go on right now related to what you're explaining. There are two approaches that are, and both are valid on Google Ads, and it pretty much applies to most networks. And this is a top-down approach, and then there's a bottom-up approach. The top-down approach means you bring a big bag of cash and you throw it at the network, and you do run on like RON type RON network campaign, a discovery campaign. You just let the network place your ad wherever. So a version of that on Google search would be bidding on Thrivecart, broad match modified, possibly, right? And I do this with quite a few campaigns. So I will usually grab a 2-word keyword, not a very long tail keyword, and I do broad match modified. To explain what that means, I ask Google that these 2 words appear somewhere in the search. Any order, anywhere in the phrase, just make sure that those 2 keywords are mentioned inside the search that person is typing. And then I just watch the search terms that come in. Like there's a search term report, so I give it a few days, and then like I will actually watch it daily, like in the beginning, and I see what's coming in. So that's my research. Google is fishing for me. and I open the net somewhat wide, not super wide, but open it up a little bit, and then I trim it down. Like I kind of sculpt it. Like I think it was Michelangelo who said that you have to remove the unneeded. Like in order to create a beautiful statue, you need to chisel away the piece of marble that are not needed. So that's what this approach is. You just open it up and then just chisel it back in. And the other approach is something that you just described, the bottom-up approach, which is arguably less risk for someone starting out. You compensate the lack of budget for this kind of research with grease elbow grease, right? You do a bunch of research by looking. There's a bunch of free tools. Uber suggests is free now, and it's awesome. It gives you volumes. It gives you estimated click prices. Obviously, you can splash out on something like SEMrush, which is awesome as well, but that will cost you $100 a month. There's keywords everywhere, which will give you ideas for keywords that you can target and research. And I do a lot of research by hand. Like I just launch iSearch from, pop in the country, sometimes I pop in the city I want to be in, and just pop in my keyword and see what comes up. And sometimes I have to redo it for clients because Google search results pages change over time as well. It just did a huge update about a couple of weeks ago. So everything's changed. The baseline has shifted for everyone. So I need to go back in and do my research and see who are the advertisers, who comes up on top, like who am I up against. And this research, like you do this research, is not for the purpose of cloning someone else's pages, not for the purpose of stealing someone's ideas. Well, ideas, actually, yeah, that's what you want to steal. But you're not gonna just steal their copy and you know that was not cool. Although in the affiliate world, that's kind of been happening quite a bit. I don't advocate that practice at all, nor do I do it. But you want to find out who you're going to be up against. You want to assess the level of market maturity just for yourself to understand how big of a game you'll have to bring to this keyword, right? So if you see your competition as very established and they spend a bunch of money and their landing pages look like they spend $100,000 on each one, well, it's going to be an uphill battle for you to win that in that auction. And it is an auction, like you bidding, each bid is competing for the attention of the customer. So you just put yourself in the shoes of that person doing that search, and you have to give them a reason to click on your ad and convert on your page. So you can do a lot of this stuff. You can eliminate a lot of budgets that they would have to bring to the table. Otherwise, you can replace a lot of it with just research. It's hard work.
Yeah.
Yeah, it like every time I do my research, like we almost invariably hit this campaign out of the park, like in the first way.
So
sorry,
no, I just wanted to kind of like go back a little step, because obviously a lot of people are very used to doing Facebook ad campaigns, and they may be looking at going, well, I don't want to rely 100% on Facebook, but I'm in that situation to be adult. One of the things that can take from their Facebook ad campaigns that are running relatively successfully and transfer them over to Google AdWords. What are the sort of the easy things for them to do? Because obviously search, Google search is a very, very different type of customer to somebody who is on Facebook browsing and they've been hit by a video ad or an image ad or carousel ad or whatever it might be. That's pure interruption marketing. Whereas Google search is very much people are in market already. They're looking for a solution to their problem already. So the position of the customer is very different between those two. So is there something obvious that you can say is like going, okay, so there's an ad campaign working on Facebook, but you can automatically transfer across to ads?
This is the question I wrestle with a lot, simply because, well, it's just the nature of my business, right? So I position myself as a Google Ads agency, and most of my clients have been referred to me by Facebook traffic guys.
Yeah.
Or just these are clients who already have success on Facebook. Now they need to diversify and expand. So there are several playbook moves that I've seen work fairly reliably in this situation. Number one, you should want to bid on your brand. Like if you're spending a decent amount of money on Facebook, you probably have a bunch of people not converting to Facebook, but bouncing back to Google. So they see you ad on Facebook, but you didn't convince them enough to convert there. So they're pulling out their phone, they're Googling you up on your phone. So you're going to capture that click as search click and show you, like, if SEO works for you and you capture it as an organic click, great. But what we've been noticing about Google is that search results kept getting pushed further and further down. So on mobile, like even you are running an ad, like unless you're number one ad on the page, like you're probably not like they have to scroll like before they see your content. So recapturing your brand traffic, this is number one campaign, and this is the easiest win you're going to deliver for yourself or for a client. And outside of that, yes, you can start expanding remarketing, which is Google's way of calling retargeting. They decided to invent part of the vocabulary. So that's another pixel your traffic, target that as an audience on Google. Importing your customer list is a good play, but that does not kick in until you have spent at least $50,000 with Google. So probably not going to apply to a lot of people listening to this podcast. But audiences built through pixels are perfectly fine. And you can go from there. Transitioning your campaign on Facebook. If the campaign is successful on Facebook, the network inside Google Ads that is probably the most similar to what you have on Facebook, or the network that's become very popular to transfer your Facebook campaigns to, is YouTube.
Yeah.
Especially if you have a lot of visual content. Now, your videos that you made for Facebook are not going to work on YouTube. That's what a lot of people are discovering, and that's the struggle I have with several of my clients, that I have to teach them the proper YouTube ad structure. And YouTube ads a very much more direct response. So you follow your classic direct response formula. It doesn't matter which one you use, like any one of those. You establish a problem, you stick the knife in, you twist the knife, and then you suggest that there might be a solution, and that's the call to action, that they have to click on this button and find out what the solution is. Unless you do this in this progression, like it's a very different medium than Facebook, even though it's more social network-like. It's still a direct response medium. People act on YouTube differently when compared to when they are on Facebook. It's the same people, but they act differently. So context is more important than content. So content has to fit the context, and the context is YouTube is still a search engine. You have Google search and YouTube. It's a number 2 biggest search engine as well. So people go to YouTube because they want to watch that video. So when your ad comes up before the video, they're not going to stop. They're not going to abandon their mission. They will want to watch the video they were about to watch. So but if you grab their attention, they're going to pause your video, pull out their phone, Google you up. So again, you run your ad on YouTube, but you may get a spike in traffic that shows up as direct in search in your Google ads or your organic traffic. You have this halo effect that you observed with Amazon. It happens all the time when you as soon as you can afford to be on multiple networks, you have to do that, and you just go to wherever your customers are. You start with Facebook, go to Google. That just makes the most sense. unless you're in some niches where you can't advertise on Google, and there are a few. Like if you do crypto, you're going to have a very hard time. If you do anything healthcare related, and I have clients like this, it's going to be more difficult. And there's a bunch of stuff that you can't really advertise on Google. But anything mainstream like that, Google will push some traffic to Facebook. Facebook will push some traffic back to Google. And as you add more networks, like they all help each other. Yeah. They all provide this lift, and your click prices will go down.
I mean, one thing I love about the idea of Google and Facebook working together is that somebody can find your video on Facebook and initially come across your brand. They then go to Google to do a search for something, your brand comes up. They then go onto a website and they've got a banner ad for your brand. They go back to Facebook, they get retargeted on there. So suddenly they think, wow, these guys must be really big because they're advertising everywhere. They don't really realize that the only people they're advertising to is that one person. And so the costs are relatively low, but yet you're getting right in their face and get constant reminders. There's sites now that I went to maybe 3-4 months ago. I still see the adverts for them there. And on the Google side of things, I don't only pay for it they don't pay for it if I clicked on it.
I think the bit that people worry about, certainly with starting on a new platform, because if they're so used to Facebook, and it's like Facebook have done an amazing job of making the world a Facebook advertiser, and so everybody knows to a certain degree that they can either click the most horrific thing, click the boost button on their posts, and they suddenly become an advertiser. So they've made it easy for them to do it that way. But even going slightly deeper than that and using the ads manager and stuff like that and building out proper campaigns on Facebook, it's actually still pretty it's pretty logical the way that Facebook walks you through that process. People start when you say to people, "Oh, go do a Google ad," they think back to 2008 when they first tried to do Google ads. And they logged on to the ad platform and they were like, "Oh my God, that's horrific," and they lose a bunch of money. But the thing is like what a lot of people don't realize is the user interface, certainly for Google, has massively improved. And it will probably make somebody like Alex cringe a little bit, because there's the kind of like the very simple way of creating an ad or an ad campaign on Google using like all the default options and all that kind of stuff, which is maybe not as well advised. It's the equivalent of pressing the boost button on your Facebook ad, but people can go onto Google and start creating ads pretty quickly. Same with things like Bing, same with other platforms like Quora. And if you go on to, it's easy to get out there and actually start creating ads. And even if you're doing it badly, you're still doing way more than most other marketers out there. And that's the bit, is you kind of like it's whilst I like people to focus on one or two specific platforms and concentrate on just those, it's still a good idea to get your feet wet and chuck a £5 or £10 a day or whatever into other platforms, just so you've got an idea, and just because you've got something going on in all those platforms. Does that make sense, Alex?
I agree. Yeah, you just can't ignore Google. They've become such a different platform in the last 2 or 3 years. The change is so drastic, so dramatic, and things are changing almost every day. I have to refresh you're in it. You trying to launch a campaign and goes, "Oh, you got to refresh this page. We just rolled out an update."
Yeah,
happens like every day almost. And this boost post button on Facebook, it does exist in Google as well. Like obviously they try to push you into this Google Ads Express, AdWords Express account, which is not recommended for most people. I wouldn't have any clients on that. That's Google's way to reach into your pocket. Yeah. But there are a lot of Express-like functions that have been introduced into main accounts. There's a lot of AI stuff. happening there now, and AI is getting way better than it used to be. I've seen recently at least 2 accounts that I can remember. I do a bunch of audits of Google Ads accounts for other people, and I've seen recently 2 accounts that break every rule in the book. They have a crap load of keywords in one ad group, and like hundreds, and it's all broad match, like something you never do if you read any of the books about Google Ads. Like you would never want to be caught like doing this kind of stuff. Well, some people just go in and toss the stuff like the way it makes sense to them, and it works. And it works. And I look at this stuff and I'm like, holy cow, like what's like, I'll have to work harder to provide my value add, because all this simple, low level techie stuff that was needed in Google just as your admission fee, like that's going away. So Google is much more newbie friendly in my view. Like obviously it depends on which niche you're in, how big is the demand for your kind of stuff and how much competition there is. So obviously there are some markets that are cutthroat and you don't want to be in those. But there are plenty of places where you can break every rule in the book and still do okay.
Yeah.
No, it's one of the things that certainly with all ad platforms, they kind of have to catch up, or had to have caught up with Facebook in terms of usability and the ability for anybody to become a marketer on them. And Facebook ads still is a real complex beast, as you say. There's so many different facets to it in terms of it's not just one channel, it's multiple channels. Because the Google Shopping, for example, is one huge separate area that a lot of people, especially in the e-commerce world, Google Shopping is a huge opportunity, but it's a huge opportunity also to basically just pile out a whole bunch of cash. So yeah, there's the very simple. They've got these new smart shopping campaigns which I've been playing around with recently, and again, that's
been like the last couple of months we've been playing the smart shopping. It's super interesting.
It is. It's kind of the equivalent of the campaign budget optimizer kind of stuff, the Power 5 in Facebook of here's a bunch of money, put it into a big black box, give us money and we'll give you customers back, kind of thing. And it's trying to get data back, and I'm almost craving data. Like, well, tell me which keywords converted, and it's like, well, it's not quite as simple and straightforward as that. It's
and that's the thing. Like it's like, remember when Google changed the name from Google AdWords to Google Ads, and everyone's like, oh well, it's not just about keywords. Well, I'm gonna make a prediction. Like keywords are going away. They're on the way out. Like Google is becoming much better at predicting intent. In fact, the way we run most of our search campaigns now is by adding in-market audiences or affinity audiences just to send Google more signals. Like they give you those little levers like in your account, like that you can, and knobs that you can twist to help Google understand what you're trying to do. And it's not just about figuring out your keywords, because our language is imperfect. Like that's been the issue of Google Ads for over a decade, right? They gave this job to you as an advertiser to match what people are searching to what you think they're actually looking for. So they're looking for something. They translate this into a phrase. They type in Google. Now you have to translate it back. Okay, so they said this, but they mean that, or maybe they mean something else. And there's a lot of ambiguity in this process, right? So you run a product clean green. Someone types in the word greens in Google. Like, what does it mean, right? Yeah. It could be a food supplement.
Could be a political party.
Could be a political party, exactly. So again, context over content. But Google is super smart at understanding context, because they have so much data about all of us. They have access to 90% of online population, and they have a crap load of data, more than anyone else, about all of us. So when someone is when you're typing the word greens in Google understands this intent better. Like they understand what you mean better than a marketer can, because we as marketers just don't have the data. So to a certain degree, you don't want this data because you're not going to be able to have it. You're not going to be able to process it. You're not going to be able to act on it. So Google is removing a lot of this hard work, and they can do a lot of this work for us now.
I remember Mike Rhodes said that, I mean, it's 3 years ago when he tested the Google AI. I mean, he was about 80% better than the AI. And now, or this was last year sometime, the AI would win on 90% of campaigns. The AI would actually have a better result.
Yeah, we've been having a lot of success with smart shopping campaigns.
It's one of the things we've been saying. We talk about typing a keyword or typing a search term into Google. Actually, the way that a lot of people are searching now is not through typing something. They're actually like asking Siri. And so the context of voice is actually very, very different. And Google understands that those search queries way better because of the context of actually what they're saying, rather than the written word of, somebody, if they want to find greens, for example, it's kind of like, well, they're going to do the shorthand of typing greens, or they're going to say, oh, can you find me the best greens drink, please?
Yeah,
exactly.
And in terms of just one question about the whole Siri thing and voice and all that kind of stuff. How is that affecting a lot of the way that you run campaigns for people these days? Are you letting the machine do way more than ever before?
For sure. So first of all, I rely on audiences, as I said. So it's not just keywords. Sure, we do all the hard work of figuring out keywords and campaign structure, ad group structure. We don't use, we use Skaggy type. I'm getting a little technical here. So there's a big debate in the AdWords community about SKAGs or no SKAGs, single keyword ad groups. We keep our ad groups tight, but it's not just one keyword, it's a bunch of keywords in it, like maybe half a dozen keywords normally. And we use broad match modified a lot, not just exact match or phrase match, because those are very restrictive. So we use BMM, meaning you put a plus in front of each keyword, each word in the keyword phrase, and that tells Google that you're looking for those words anywhere, somewhere, in any order in the search term. We that keeps our ad groups relatively open, and then we influence Google's decisions about which clicks to give us by adding audiences to our search campaign, something most people don't do right now.
Interesting.
So first of all, you can add audiences, and you can also tell Google not to go to certain audiences, right? So you can influence Google much better these days. You can supply context to the content that they're getting as a search phrase. The way we search things online is changing dramatically. People search by using images. There's a lot of searches that way, and smart shopping campaigns go into image searches or will go soon, as was announced at the big event a couple of weeks ago. There's an equivalent of there's different types of ads that are going to be Google is using more of their properties to funnel more traffic. The more places you can grab traffic from, basically, not just search, but even search itself, it's so different now. So Mark's approach of bidding on exact match keywords, I mean, it's still valid. You can find pockets online where this works, but most markets, they're more fluid. And you're going to miss out on a lot of things unless you keep the stuff relatively open. Another type of a campaign that we started to run in most of our accounts is DSA, dynamic search ads, which is the ultimate AI way. You don't even get to write your ad copy. Like you just give it a page or set of pages, Google reads your website and it comes up with the ad copy for you and keywords. So no targeting, no ad copy, you just push the button and it does something. We don't give it a lot of budgets. Those are, like, we're not looking to turn a profit from those. Those are pure discovery type campaigns. And almost invariably, we start seeing some keywords we never thought of that never came up in our research. But all of a sudden, Google is coming up with this crazy stuff and shows our ads on some searches that, you know, we otherwise would not have discovered. So when you can afford running like a small budget DSA campaign, can be very helpful.
Cool. Mark, was there any questions that have come up in the last?
Yeah. There's a couple of them. Hang on, just finishing typing in the answer to one of them. Or as well. Okay, so Andy asked. Hang on, no, Andy asked. We'll go back to the other one. I'm late. Just curious how Alex got started with his agency and started getting leads. We covered that right at the very beginning, Andy. It started with a $100 voucher, and he hasn't made a loss since that 7 years ago. So it's worth looking at, or worth listening to the start of it. We had interesting observation here. In about 90% of cases, it's much easier for us to get results for our clients and quite quickly in Google Ads than FB ads. Agree with that?
Well, it depends on the business. It very depends on the business. There are many businesses that are much easier to start on Facebook and transition to Google. And there are some businesses that are easier on Google than Facebook. If your business is an answer to an urgent problem, then Google is the right place. Like that, this is the bottom of the funnel, immediate traffic that you're going to get. Like if someone needs this problem solved today, leaky pipe, I don't know, I want this TV up on the wall today because of the football match I want to watch. For some reason, people can't wait a week to resolve this issue. That's the best place to be, like Google. Facebook is something that is, you know, more of a vitamin, less of a pill.
I like that.
Right, so this one, I'm going to answer this one. It'd be great to have training of all sorts of paid ads as a traffic domination strategy in SMO Pro. It's already there. We've got Google Ads training. We've got Facebook Ads training. I've just finished a Facebook Ads thing. I'll be doing a new Google Ads one, taking some of Alex's strategy. I'm not going to be using exact match now. I'm going to be using modified broad. And we'll see.
Watch those search term reports, though.
Right?
Like when you open it up, watch the search term report frequently.
That's actually a really good point. So on Facebook, you've got your reports. Just open it up and look at them. Okay, that's about it. But on Google, you have to be really proactive. I look at my Facebook ads once a week now. Pretty much either Saturday morning or a Monday morning, I'll go in, see how much I spent in the last week. With Google, every time I've run Google ads, I've been in there once or twice a day, checking what stupid keywords they're bidding on for me and what stupid sites they're showing my ads on. And that is actually, I don't know about now, but this was last year. It was really, I mean, it's a lot of work. This is why the Facebook ad agencies, yes. Sorry. AdWords ads agencies, yes. Facebook ads agencies, no. Because really, you can probably do your Facebook ads better than most agencies, but Google, you're paying for someone to do all that crappy work.
Yeah, I think that's right. You know, in terms of like, it depends on what kind of campaigns you're running. Like, for example, I have search campaigns that are running on my on Google that I've had running for years and years. The only thing I've done is update them to have like the latest ad format to make sure that they're up to date. And also every couple of weeks I'll drop in and go, just to make sure that it's not spending money on a keyword that it shouldn't be spending money on, and if I need to negative out a keyword. So things like that, they're pretty much set and forget. Those kind of like, as Alex mentioned, you know, doing bidding on your brand name for a search campaign is a great idea. You know, bidding for your product names, bidding for the business owners' names as well. If it's a you know, a public facing kind of person that is heading up the company, if it's that kind of thing. So those are the good things to bid on. And once you've set them up, and once they're ticking over quite nicely, you can just leave them to a certain degree. Other ones, obviously, things like if you're running a display campaign, and obviously Google Display has been around since year dot. What we would traditionalists call banner ad campaigns. Obviously, they've changed dramatically over the last couple of years. But even that, to a certain degree, once you found like a placement and your placements and a particular banner that's working, you can set and forget. But to start with, it's an awful lot of work to clear out all the crappy placements and all of the the banners which aren't working for you.
All of Google networks, and again, I'm using plural, the plural version of the word. All of their networks are extremely front-loaded when it comes to effort. It doesn't matter which one you decide to master first. There are a bunch of guys who never touch search. They just play on YouTube or GDN or just GDN. Some very big traffic guys. There's plenty of people who just focus on search, because those are very different networks. Yes, you target them from the same interface, but these are very different networks with their own idiosyncrasies. But no matter which one you do, it's an extremely front-loaded effort. So for someone doing agency work like I do, like the biggest effort is in onboarding your clients, like making sure that all the conversions are set up properly, that all the stuff is being tracked, figuring out your campaign structure, getting some first clicks, understanding which clicks are good, which ones are not so good, making sure we get fewer bad ones and more good ones. And over time, it becomes like, once you dial it in, you can leave it. Like it's pretty much can run by itself for a very long time. The exception being shopping campaigns. Those tend to be like a little bit more labor intensive and on a like daily, weekly basis. But a lot of other things are more or less, you can put them on the autopilot eventually and just come in like once a month and tweak them a little bit, and then, be done with them for another month or two.
Cool. I'm going to throw a grenade at Alex now.
All right.
So, Alex, when cookies die,
oh yeah,
what's going to happen?
Oh, it's going to be a new and beautiful world. Privacy is going to descend on us. All these evil marketing companies will have no access to our data. So cookies are on the way out. Yeah, this is a very interesting topic for sure. The writing's on the wall. Already you can see, like even for my local clients, that like a few months ago, that was not the case, but now I'm noticing there's a bunch of conversions that are just not being registered in Google. They're not coming through. You have people installing ad blockers. You have people launching privacy browsers like Brave. Firefox kills cookies after, I think, 24 hours. Safari does it now as well. There's a talk of Google Chrome going in this direction as well, lest they lose their market share. So cookies are on the way out, which is sad because it's unnecessary. Like, cookies are not a violation of our privacy. Like all the people who wanted to violate our privacy already did so, and they have access to all the data they need. So cookie is just, just a little text file that says, okay, this browser, it doesn't even say this person, this browser was interested in this topic at some point. That's all it is. It just saves, some data inside your browser, not personal data, just some data. And that's been the pillar of all advertising, like for the last 15 years. Like that's how things ran. So it's going to be a big wave that's going to change the landscape quite significantly. It's a big tsunami coming. So what you do in Google right now is you figure out a way to pass your GCLID, Google Click ID. So first of all, you need to enable it. You need to display it in the URL. So you can set up a a template for your links called value track parameters. So you just visualize, you just reveal the chiclet, and Facebook reveals a biglet now as well. Except I don't think you can do much with that on Facebook at this point. So in Google, you can take this chiclet and pass it through a hidden field on your opt-in forms or your checkout pages and store it in your CRM. So be it your Shopify, be it your ActiveCampaign or Infusionsoft or whatever, you can store it right against that person's contact record. And then you can export them and see how many conversions you actually got versus how many conversions Google shows you. And then you can just take those that are missing and add them back in manually through an import. And there's a bunch of guys working on automated to semi-automated solutions right now, but the manual approach is fine. So once in a while, you just throw the data back in Google. So this delta that you're missing is growing now. Like every week, like you're going to start noticing that more and more of your conversions go unaccounted for. And the problem with that is, well, first of all, if you're a performance marketer, you get paid on those conversions. If you're an agency, you get renewed, like your retainer gets renewed based on you performing. So that's bad news for you. But that's not even the worst part. The worst part is having this delta there sends bad signals to Google's AI. Like if you use any of the automated bidding strategies, any of the automated type campaigns, that mistrains this little puppy called Google AI, and this little puppy is going to shit on your carpet. So that's the problem. So you want to send as much data as possible to go back to Google.
So when it comes to retargeting and remarketing, what's going to happen? Because obviously that is, for most marketers, a lot of marketers, that's a massive part of their business.
They'll figure something out. It'll be server-based audiences. Like it's going to be server to server. I don't know what's going to look like, but they're going to come up with something very soon, I'm sure.
I think obviously the way the world's going is very platform dependent. Like if you think about Facebook as a platform and properties that they own, whether it's Google, whether you're on Google Chrome or searching for something on Google Maps, or you're in the Google shopping environment, if you're on Instagram shopping or Pinterest, it's very platform dependent. And from what I can tell, Google is kind of trying to basically be the top line place where stuff happens. The same in Facebook with Messenger. So transactional stuff will happen on the platform rather than on your own website. So like, say for example, Messenger, you'll soon be able to have the ability to buy things directly through Messenger. In some cases you can already. You can opt in when you do a search on Google, and some of the new I don't know what the structured data elements are, but the ability for Google, say for example, I'm using Shopify. Shopify would basically have a kind of like a block that would appear in the Google search listings, with the ability for somebody to check out directly from the Google shopping listings. Or
it exists today. Yeah, it's called Google Express, which is being phased out now. But you can check out with the Google Pay and then fulfill it through Shopify.
Same with Amazon. Amazon obviously they want to like have you platform, basically on their platform, and on your mobile device. There's obviously, if you've got Amazon on your mobile device, then you can check out directly from there anyway. So, that's the way I see things moving, unfortunately, on big platforms rather than, decentralized kind of like websites with a PayPal button and an opt-in form and things like that, which is, and so that's the change that's happening, I believe. And like it or not, we have to play on the platforms where we can actually process that transaction.
It's useful to think about all these guys as new countries we live in, right? So Google is like a new country without borders.
Yeah.
Well, the border is you and Google. Right? You're not on Facebook, so we'll try very hard to keep you on Google.
Absolutely.
And not go to Facebook, not go to Amazon, not go to any of the other sites. And they've been at it for a number of years now. As you watch the progression of them changing their search results. Like, when was the last time you had to go to some financial website to look up a stock price or currency exchange rate? When was the last time you had to go to some airline website to look up the status of a flight? Google provides all these answers right in Google. Weather forecast, same thing, right?
Yeah.
Like you can do, like, you can live in Google these days. Same thing happens with local businesses. Google, My Business thing, the Google Maps, they keep everything in Google. Like, they give you a site inside Google ecosystem, like with posts and images and everything.
Yep.
So they try to keep all those clicks inside Google, everything. So it's a different world. Yes, that's going to.
It's interesting. I'm a member of Scott's Free Flights, which is a flight finding service, and all they do is data mine Google. Every single flight I get, I mean, I got £200 from Gatwick to Orlando, came up yesterday. Wow. But 3 or 4 times a day, I'll get flights come in for, was it £280 from Madrid to Phuket, right? But all they do, they constantly data mine Google. And then when they get a good deal, that's 50% what it's normally, or 60%, then they just send it out by email, all automated. I'm sure there's people at the back end checking it, but yeah. And
I suppose if you think about like the way that the Google sphere works, and Facebook, and you know, the Facebook pixel or the Google Analytics code, it's like Google knows where people are and what they're doing and all that kind of thing. So instead of it being instead of like the cookie itself disappearing, the interaction or the triggers for where a conversion takes place, or what type of page you're on, whether you're on a product page or a content page, or whether you're on a checkout page, what those pages are. It's just that you need to play by their rules rather than just having your own funky funky cookie, you know, firing a thing on your site. So you know, it's the cookies are going away, but it's being replaced by the ability by you know, the major platforms to know where you are and what you're looking at.
Yeah. Well, the big thing is in Google, it's affinity and in-market audiences. Yeah. That's the biggest development that everyone should get up to speed on, because that's going to continue to grow in relevance and power.
Yeah, massively so. Cool. Any other questions there, Mark?
Right. So anyone's got any questions, please type them in the comments and we will answer them in a minute. If you need to find Alex, you can get him at Alex Makarski.com. Come and join us at the free Serious Marketers Only Foundation group, members.seriousmarketersonly.com. What else we got? Oh, yeah. Get your free affiliate training, seriousmarketersacademy.com. And don't forget, there's only 19 hours left to get thrived out at the current rate.
Oh, brilliant.
Like, are they actually going to, like, I think I saw the email that they just up in the price, not switching to a monthly plan yet.
Yeah, what they're doing, they're splitting the product now. So anybody who joins before 19 hours time, probably 18 by now, at thrivecartsecrets.com/TS1.
Thrivecart is amazing, by the way.
Yeah, I know. It's turned from what was supposed to be a cart into a whole business system now. So you can track everything, got all your stats in there. But
I wasted so much money on lifetime deals on different software products. This one makes it up for all my losses.
Yeah, it's the best product I've ever bought. I mean, it's such a key part of my business now. But what they're doing, they're currently, if you buy now, you get pro access for life, one-time payment. Okay, bear in mind, this is something that generates probably well over $100,000 a year for me. So I paid for $147, and I actually thought about, do I really want to do that for it? So that's, and then what's happening as of tomorrow? It's split into a standard and pro. There's still going to be one-time payments, but standard will have less of the features. It won't have all the really cool stuff in it. And then the pro will have all the cool stuff. And then at the next upgrade, they're going to a monthly payment plan. And they've got loads of stuff. We've got funnel stuff coming into it and loads of new bits and pieces. I can't say. I mean, I know people are going to say, "Oh, I wish I got it." I mean, that's going to be written on my gravestone in a few years' time. I wish I'd got Thrivecart earlier.
So, obviously, to rein it back in a little bit to what we should be talking about, Mark. Obviously,
there you go. Mark, great stuff again, guys. Alex, thank you for being so generous with your hard-won knowledge.
Awesome. Thank you, Tom, and welcome.
And all the members of Serious Marketers Only are that generous.
I think just to try and wrap this up and trying to bring it into something that people can actually go away and take away something. Obviously, we talked about sort of, getting started and where the best place to go and all that kind of thing is. Is there is there an obvious way of somebody just going, right, I've not done Google Ads before. It's been years since I've dived into Google Ads. Where do I start? What's the first thing I should actually get my head into? Is it search? Is it Google Display? Is it YouTube? Is it shopping? What
Yeah, don't start with shopping.
What's the obvious place to start?
Yeah, shopping is amazing. I wouldn't recommend someone starts with that necessarily. I think search is great. That's where a lot of guys start. If you're in a niche where you can afford to make some mistakes, where the click's only going to cost you $100, and there are plenty of niches like this.
Yeah,
plenty. Like there's an ample supply, and since you guys teach affiliate marketing, I think for affiliate search is a very good place to start. YouTube is amazing. Like if you are into making videos and you get good at creating direct response type videos, YouTube is hands down. This is the biggest growing segment right now, biggest growing network as far as I can see.
As far as I can tell, it's got like almost. I can't say unlimited because that's a wrong word to use, but it's practically unlimited amount of available traffic. It's practically untouched in comparison to say Facebook and Facebook newsfeed stuff.
There's a big stampede coming to YouTube, so the opportunity, the window of opportunity is right now.
Yeah,
everyone's shifting their budget to YouTube.
I ran some ads on YouTube, and I was promoting an email marketing course, right? For some reason, Google decided that showing that on Justin Bieber videos would be perfect.
see, there you go. There's your targeting mismatch.
Budget went on a single Justin Bieber video.
All I can say is Alex is probably going, oh my God, he's forgotten to switch off XYZ, or I had it. The targeting has gone to pot somewhere.
But Google is tricky. Like they will show you stuff in places you don't want to, like unless you know how to turn these things off, right? You have to know how to switch things off once in a while.
So the question that Donald has put below, or Mark's put from
Donald.
Donald.
Come on, you live in Scotland, you know the Celtic stuff.
Donald. Google is not good for health-related niches. Does this depend on the approach? I'm thinking of keto, for instance. Now, certainly from my own personal perspective, I've been able to run stuff for my health-related things.
It's not health as much as it is healthcare.
Yes, yeah, and stuff basically. Right. Stay away from pharmaceutical stuff, CBD, right. blah 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 blah, all the dodgy shit.
And don't make any claims related to any specific condition. So as soon as you start targeting conditions like, specific type of pain, well, the first thing, you're going to lose the ability to retarget on the platform. Like your remarketing pixel is going to be disallowed. That's the first pin that's going to drop. And like if you have into healthcare stuff, then you're going to deal with a lot of ad disapprovals. That's just inevitable. Comes up to, like, again, it does not mean that Google doesn't work for it. You just have to have access to a good rep, and you have to be on the phone a lot, and you have to be dealing with ad approvals and disapprovals.
It's exactly the same as Facebook, in my opinion. If you're delving into sort of like, the healthcare, as in pharmaceutical stuff or any of the dodgy stuff, you're going to get your account shut down. It's going to it's inevitable. You're going to have ads like shut off left, right, and center. However, I'm still able to promote a green string, fish oils, turmeric, magnesium supplements. I can still do all of that stuff because of the way that I market it. And you kind of have to be, as I've said this multiple times before, it's just stay away from any claims whatsoever. And it's the same with pretty much every platform there is out there right now.
Yeah. Cool. Right. I think we'll wind it up there. There's no more questions. Thank you very much, Alex. It's been a pleasure as ever.
That was fun.
Thank you.
Have we really been on for over an hour?
Yeah. 1 hour, 6 minutes. I know. Time flies sometimes. Well, last week we were on, I think myself and Tega were on because Tim just disappeared. 1 hour 15. But then we went and chatted for 45 minutes afterwards about the same topic. Day went on one podcast, live show.
Okay, right. So we better wrap it up before we set the new record.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, it can't have a new record. Tager's got to keep the record, hasn't he?
Thank you, Alex. There's been superb, really, really great information.
Thanks for having me.
Obviously, Alex is in SMO, so make sure if you're not already in SMO,
come and try us.
Ask myself, any questions, so go for it.
So just to wrap it up on SMO, if to answer Mark's question about how to start with Google, join SMO, ask a lot of questions, watch training.
Yeah, we've got people even in the free group. There are people who can answer your questions, and in the paid group, there are people who go out their way to answer your questions.
Well, all three of us are in the free group, right?
Yeah. In fact, every guest we've had on is in the free group.
Yeah. Just ask the questions. No, that'd be good. Cool.
Right, guys, have a great weekend. This is way past my end of week finish.
Cool. We'll see you later. See you next week.
See you guys. See you in the group. Cheers.